Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Sonic 3318, back again for another video for you guys. And today, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the highly anticipated, in a sense you can say it, my double review of none other than SummerSlam and Payback. Yep, it is time to review not only the biggest part of the event of the summer here for 2020, but the event that actually follow suit, the week right after it. So, yeah. Needless to say, we're here for this double feature main event for this video for you guys. So, as I said, we're not gonna wait. Let's get this started with the SummerSlam kickoff. Well, I guess in a sense that is true because obviously it's a kickoff show. So let's kick this review off with SummerSlam, shall we? All right. So to kick off, we have Apollo Crews taking on MVP for the United States Championship. My prediction for this match was for Crews to win, and he won this match. That is my prediction score 1-0. And my thoughts on this match was meh. Not much to say or comment on here, really. The match seemed to come and go like it was nothing, and just seemed to be something that could have been easily done on Raw or SmackDown. So I can see why it was put on the kickoff show for sure. So there's that. Next up, we have Asuka taking on Bayley for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. My preferred match was for Bayley to win to set things up for the next match with Banks and Asuka. Wait, what? To set things up for the next match with Banks? Oh, yeah, to set up for stuff later on the night between Banks and Asuka in their match. Duh. Stupid ass. And my prediction was for Bayley for that reason, and I won this match because Bayley did win the match, and my prediction score out of this match was 2-0. And my thoughts on this match was kind of didn't like how they sort of in a sense botched the ending, or at least made it seem like they did, since they sort of redid the spot with Bayley pinning Asuka in the same fashion back to back like she did. But she did in fact took a nice bump, or at least sort it off like a bump earlier in the match, with Asuka coming off the steps and DDT Bayley onto the floor skull first. Other than that, not too much to say. Nothing much to say really. Nothing bad or grand, but still an entertaining match for sure. All right, next up we have Andrade taking on Angel Garza versus. And Andrade. I might just botch this. Andrade and Angel Garza taking on the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championships. My prediction for this match was for Garza and Andrade to win, since they seem to deserve it seem to deserve it about now, but wouldn't have mind seeing the Profits retaining the championships. And I lost this match because the Andrades people, no, the Street Profits won this match, and I lost this match. The match was prediction score 2-1. And my thoughts on this match was, after Bayley won the first match of the night, I kind of figured the Street Profits were gonna retain their belts. The match itself, though, was alright, and that's all I could really say without sounding too repetitive. I almost had a freaking hiccup over there. Sorry about that. But on from that, and all that ran is with me kind of botching that kind of tongue twistering of the freaking names of whoever the names of the tag team ones. Blah. After that botching this, we move on now to Mandy Rose taking on Sonya Deville in a loser leaves WWE no disqualification style match, which was originally for a hair match before things got turned around out of nowhere for this match instead, for this stipulation instead, for obvious reasons. Why? Because Sonya Deville having to deal with personal matters outside of the company. So yeah, that's self-explanatory of what's going on with her. You probably heard already tons already about the news of what's going on with Sonya Deville behind the scenes of her home invasion, all that shit. So yeah, needless to say, horrible situation just happened, and I'm hoping she turns out A-okay at the end of things. So when she and all parties involved get their justice and actually get to the bottom of this for what they need to do. But still, needless to say, all that drama is outside of the WWE, so we're gonna stay inside the WWE. We're gonna stay in the ring in regards to this match. So obviously, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville for that matchup. My prediction for this match was for Rose to win, but after hearing a bit more rumors as to how Otis could help spare Rose out of being too hurt in the match, I could also see Sonya winning it as well. With my prediction came true, because Rose did come over with the win over freaking Sonya Deville for obvious reasons I just said beforehand. So yeah, Rose won this match. So my prediction score 3-1. And my thoughts was that I definitely had Rose dominating the match more than what I thought of, if not not the other way around. But overall, was a pretty solid match for the most part. Both women seemed to go at it all at parts, but then others seemed to move slowly with their movements, and that made it kind of unbelievable that some of their hits did anything to their opponents. Beyond that, though, still an enjoyable match to say the least. So yeah, moving on from that, we had Dominic Mysterio taking on Seth Rollins in a street fight. My first match was for Rollins to win for the sake of Mysterio not yet getting the win in his first match. Talk about Dominic, obviously. And to possibly set up a tag team match with both Mysterios and Rollins and Murphy at Payback. But still wouldn't mind seeing Dominic get the W in the match, though. My prediction came true, as Rollins did in fact win this match. So my prediction score 4-1. And my thoughts were, at first I was even wondering if this was going to even deserve the stipulation. After seeing the match, I'd say it did so and then some. Had lots of moments of action that totally made me get into the match, and overall I had some great storytelling to add on to it to boot. Not to mention Dominic himself knows the ropes of the ring as well, as he had himself set up to go from the top of the turnbuckle onto the LED ring post to go with the move Rollins did to him at the moment. And he also pulled one on Rollins, as well as he pulled a Hurricanrana sort of move on Rollins as he was going to buckle bomb him. Needless to say, exceeded my expectations. It definitely leads me to think that we'll end up seeing the Mysterios versus Rollins and Murphy next week at Payback, but we'll just have to see. Which, spoiler alert, we did, because obviously Payback, you saw my prediction video and we saw that action happen. So yay for me calling that shit. So yay. Needless to say, though, moving on from that business, we'll address that when we get down to Payback. So with that said, let's continue on. Next up, we have Asuka taking on Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. My prediction for this match was for Asuka to win to let us finally get things started with the breakup of Bayley and Banks we've been seeking to get for what seems like ages now. And that I felt that Asuka seems more of a Raw superstar and would stay in there instead of making the move to SmackDown, like some might have thought she would if she would have beat Bayley. And I won this match because Asuka did become the Raw Women's Champion with no mess up on Bayley's part, unless they make what happens near the end as her screwing up helping Banks in that sense for Banks to be salty to her for that reasoning. And with obviously that being a new champ, obviously me crank, because obviously like I just said, Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion, so blah. My score of this match was a 5-1, and my thoughts was, unfortunately, was in and out of this due to me helping my mom with some phone charging issues and getting some stacks as well during this match. But from what I've got out of it, though, it seemed quite rushed and not as well put on compared to the Bayley match with Asuka, which was unfortunate because I know these two could easily have a hell of a match together. Maybe sometime later on, I suppose. So yeah. Next up, we have Randy Orton taking on Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. My prediction for this match was for Orton to win due to him being one of the highest things in WWE with his heel run as of late and no sign of slowing down. But still would love to see Drew McIntyre retain it if he does, which he actually did, which then results in me losing this match with my score being a 5-2. And my thoughts of this match was, once again, had to help my mom out again with some of her phone issues. But from what I had out of the match, I found it to be quite slow at first until it picked up some pace towards the mid to end of it. But wasn't quite impressed with how it ended, though. Granted, they probably only did this to keep both men looking strong and to give some excuse to move on to Payback. With this two, not too bad, but I wish it was a bit more than it was. Obviously, no. So, yeah. Which, obviously, when I mentioned Payback on that point, that can basically be unconsciously now knowing present day that obviously just scratch out Payback, because obviously we didn't get this match at Payback, but we're going to give it next month at Clash of Champions between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. So, said, there we go. So, blah. So, we may have had Keith Lee here at Payback, or, coming up at Payback for my review sake, but we will get McIntyre and Orton's, the rematch at SummerSlam at freaking Clash of Champions. So, there you go. Next up, we have Braun Strowman taking on The Fiend for the Universal Championship. My prediction for this match was for The Fiend, but not to win the title yet. But my prediction came true in not both sense, but some sense, because The Fiend did win, and he actually did become the Universal Champion at SummerSlam. But we'll get to that in a second, obviously. But he did, I stress, at SummerSlam. At SummerSlam at this point. He was the champion. But we'll obviously get to that when we get down the road here pretty soon enough. But still, The Fiend did win this match, so he was new champion at the time. So my prediction score at the time was 6-2. And my thoughts was, had plenty of back and forth moments between these two, and definitely was a breath of fresh air to see the ring mat be torn up, since I think it hasn't been done since the vein of either the Nexus attack or even the equivalent of what happened on the outside of the ring and No Mercy 2007 with Orton and Triple H. Talk about a nostalgia memory for that sake, because obviously that was way a long time ago, where I was fucking even so young, and I was at the point where I was so into the product where I literally was physically crying my eyes out when we have the Monday Night Raw with Cena and Orton. You know, with that match with Mr. Kennedy where Randy Orton actually took out pretty much injured Cena that night on Raw. Yeah, that was some nostalgic memory right there, but that's beside the point. I thought the point out because obviously that's what I thought of, obviously what happened on No Mercy between Triple H and Randy Orton, with them, you know, having their match at No Mercy 2007, and they tore the outside of the ring up and all that jazz. So that all reminded me of all that shit between that and the Nexus attack back many years ago with what happened in the end of this match between Braun Strowman and The Fiend. So I thought to point that out to you guys. But needless to say though, couldn't really think of anything else to note here other than The Fiend actually getting the title, because Roman Reigns is back. And he's a heel? Could he be a part, if not the leader of Retribution? Guess we'll have to wait and see. Which, as of the recording right now, we can slightly confirm he's a heel. Slightly. I think we can disregard the Retribution comment I did before. As of right now, maybe in the future potentially, but as of right now, the biggest eyeball thing to look for now is if he is a heel. That is a question mark to have looming overhead. Is Roman Reigns a heel? He's teamed up with Paul Heyman. And he's usually, and Paul Heyman guys are usually to be heels. So who's to know? Anywho's, my total score of the show, the overall score, was 6-2 after those thoughts. And speaking about thoughts, my overall thoughts on SummerSlam is as I quote: the show in itself wasn't as strange and didn't have as much weird finish as I thought it would have, but still did have its moments of downs that keep it from being even a good pay-per-view. To me, it definitely was an okay show, but it could have been much worse heading into Payback next weekend. Especially now with a bit of fire getting into WWE's veins with that Roman Reigns return, and questioning just if he's a heel or not. So yeah, there was some freaking reason to actually be slightly hyped about watching WWE product after that show. So there was that for freaking heading out of freaking SummerSlam. So with that said, we are done with SummerSlam, and now it's time to head on into Payback with none other than Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan taking on the Iconics. My first match was for Riott and Morgan to win, and they won this match, so that's my prediction score, 1-0. And my thoughts on this match was meh. Was your typical kickoff style match. Nothing too grand to speak of, but must say, compared to the most kickoff matches, this one didn't really get me that invested into it. Was really thinking for a moment that WWE was actually gonna split the Riott Squad just after they got back together, and with what was being told in the match. Happy they didn't go through with that. Other than this, not much to note to start the show. So with that said, we're going to move on next up to Bobby Lashley taking on Apollo Crews for United States Championship. My first match was for Lashley to win, but wouldn't have mind seeing Crews retain the title, which he actually did it, because Lashley did win this match, with that making me actually win the match, and my score being none other than 2-0 to actually start off the actual show. And my thoughts of this match wasn't able to really tune in into, Wasn't able to really tune into this match until around the frog splash move, but other than that, this match to me wasn't one I wasn't able to get much into again. Since to me it seems like we've seen it enough already to not really care much on it. But nothing too bad to say in the least. So with that said, moving on next, we have Sheamus taking on Big E. My first match was for Big E to win, and I won this match as Big E won the match, obviously enough. And my score was 3-0. And my thoughts on this match was, match seemed to go on longer than I thought it would, but unfortunately wasn't too enthralling at all. Not to say I wasn't entertained by it though, but wish it had something more to really get things fired up for it. But I must say though, Big E sure can take some stiff shots and bumps when he needs to, cause he sure as hell took 2 of them in this match, both on the ring apron and a knee to the head by Sheamus near the end of the match. Nothing special, but still a fun match, still a fun watch to give E somewhere to go for his singles run. So there's that. Next up, we have Baron Corbin taking on Matt Riddle, I must say, so Matt Riddle versus freaking Baron Corbin. My first match was for Riddle to win, but could easily see why Corbin will win this match, obviously enough to continue their feud between one another. My first match came true as Riddle did win this match, and my score of this match was 4-0. And my thoughts on this match was definitely had me more invested than I thought I'd be for this match. Granted, it wasn't anything too crazy, but most certainly it had my attention during it all. Actually had me for a second with that close call near the end by Corbin pinning Riddle. But overall, a fun little watch. Plus, the feud doesn't seem to be over with that the feud doesn't seem over with that backstage beatdown. So there's that. Looks to be more action to be on the way for these two, with this feud continuing on after Payback. So with that said, let's move on next up to Sasha Banks and Bayley. My bad. The team of Banks and Bayley taking on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. My first match was for Jax and Baszler to win to finally get the Banks and Bayley split moving and start a feud with the two, but not seeing Jax and Baszler lasting too long with the belts, unless WWE actually somehow makes them actually work out within the veins of like Bliss and Cross, which even that comment is still to be seen. But we will try to see what happens in the future with what's going on with Jax and Baszler. But still, our prediction actually came true as Jax and Baszler actually became the tag team champions over Banks and Bayley as they won the match. And that makes my score 5-0. And my thoughts was, to be completely honest with you, never really was paying much attention to this match, as I was mainly looking into the Funko Pop stuff for both Sonic's 30th anniversary and some new info for some Demon Slayer ones as well. But from what I did see, it was seemingly what we all expected out of it. Crazy to think of how the match ended like that, because I was thinking Banks was actually attacking Baszler, but she actually had both of them in for a submission move. Needless to say, one crazy would end the win the titles, to say the least. So with that said, let's move on next up for Keith Lee to take on Randy Orton in their matchup at Payback. Obviously enough. My first match was for Randy Orton to win by DQ by the hands of McIntyre coming out to attack him to get his payback for what happened on the Raw before the show, which then could set up what I mentioned before, how Lee and McIntyre could be a thing together to feud with Orton to then turn Lee heel and let those two feud and go at it to get Orton off with the title to eventually feud up with Edge down the road. But wouldn't be too surprised if Orton gets the win clean, but also could see Lee winning it as well to make him look strong for his debut on the main roster for the pay-per-view event itself. My prediction came incorrect because Keith Lee actually won this match, and my score this match was a 5-1 for my first watch of the night. And my thoughts on this match was, well, then talk about that ending. After a screwed up match they had on Raw, it truly seems like Keith Lee wasn't playing any games in this match, as the match seemed to just fly by like it was nothing. But goddamn that powerbomb out of nowhere though. Needless to say, freaking shock emoji face, oh my god face. Needless to say though, had me shocked to say the least. Obviously enough. Awesome ending, by the way. Seriously, I can't stress it enough. Awesome and amazing kind of speculation. Just mind-blowing ending with Keith Lee actually ending Randy Orton like out of nowhere. Because wow, wow, and wow. Alright, so now out of that kind of, slightly marking that move with me kind of going off the edge with that moment, we're going to move on next with the team of Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio taking on Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. My first match was for the Mysterios to win, to finally get their payback over their feud, but also could see Rollins and Murphy get the win as well for their respective reasons. My prediction came true, as the Mysterios did get the win on this match, and my score after this match was 6-1. And my thoughts was, while I didn't keep my attention as I'd love for it to, I would have to say that what I did see out of it all this match did impress me though. Definitely seen it all coming a mile away, but it still was an enjoyable match for the points I actually saw out of it. So, pretty much overall, while I really wasn't really paying attention much to it, or what I did see out of it though, I actually did enjoy seeing what I saw out of it. So instead, there you go. Next up, we have, I think to actually finish off the video, we actually have the final match on the card, which was The Fiend taking on Braun Strowman, taking on Roman Reigns, and the WWE Universal Championship Triple Threat, no holds barred triple threat match. So blah, all that jazz, all that mumbo jumbo for the Universal Championship. There you go. My prediction for this match was for Reigns to win, to make his heelish return more valuable, and to overall set up the Fiend giving chase for it as a face. But was rooting for, and could also see the Fiend winning it as well, to then set up Reigns versus Strowman to lead up to Reigns versus Fiend at the lives of either Hell in a Cell or Survivor Series. In either case, Strowman had to be the one to take the fall, which I think he did, if I remember right. Yeah, he did. Because I was about to say my thoughts on the match down below. He did take the fall, as Roman Reigns did win the championship and actually, won the match overall, to say the least. With my score being 7-1, and my thoughts, as I was just regarding before, regardless of how it had some things that we've seen many times before and clearly made it seem like Reigns was eventually going to come out and win it all, the match overall still managed to tell a story with what it had to offer, and definitely has room to fill, and with how the Fiend just rolled out of the ring to let Reigns get the win without having a fight in him to stop him. After, giving him the mandible claw like he did, he just gave him the mandible claw, and Roman Reigns just pretty much just like this, like a simple fucking, like kick to it. I think in a sense you could say he low blow him, but I don't think he kind of did, but he did some sort of maneuver that he looked like he was low blow him, so I guess that's his excuse. You can say that's his excuse of why the Fiend actually kind of freaking rolled out of the ring and actually couldn't do anything, because obviously he low blowed him, he wanted to get out of the ring to get away from Roman like that. I guess you could say that, but whatever happened, it's whatever happened. So, in my sense, I'm taking it from what I saw. So, the Fiend did in a sense where, he got out of the ring, and, like I said before, so the Fiend got out of the ring and, let Reigns take, Strowman down, actually let Strowman be the one to take the 1, 2, 3, as I said before. So, there you go. Glad they just didn't get, but still, overall, with that said, glad they didn't just let Reigns stroll out and get the W without at least a bit of fight at him and some action in this match. But overall, still got to the end of it, but overall, still got to the end of it until that. Once again, let me phrase that one more time. But overall, still got to the end in which we all seen coming, and now it's only time to see just where we'll go from here, obviously enough. So with that said and done, my overall score of Payback 2020 was 7-1, and my overall thoughts on Payback 2020 was, while most of the show seemed to be lackluster and stuff that could make up an episode of Raw or SmackDown, the second to the later half of the show was where the show really showed its head, and it was what I was waiting for overall. Definitely liked SummerSlam over it, and still kind of feel it wasn't worth the pay-per-view sticker type of deal a week after it, after all, the way, how it. Overall, I still just don't think it deserves to actually come back. The pay-per-view event was actually worthwhile to actually have, so soon after freaking SummerSlam, to say the least. But at least it wasn't too bad. Plenty of new champs coming out of it all, and a new story elements to even event out of it all, to say the least. Obviously enough. So this has concluded, yeah. So pretty much, yeah. So while I don't think, while I don't think Payback was kind of, worth it in the end, it could have been much worse. So yeah. So with all said and done out of the way, with me kind of jumbling that ending of my Payback shit, I overall thank you for watching this video for this double featured event for Payback and SummerSlam. My reviews for both these shows. I hopefully am. Like I said before, the only reason why I'm doing this is because obviously it's easy enough for me this was the most easy way of doing it, because obviously I went from SummerSlam predictions to my Payback predictions to finally come to this video to put these two reviews together as a whole. So here's to hoping WWE does not do this shit ever again. And we're going to move on smoothly here from this mumbo jumbo of both double feature to go back to our classical ways of actually going back to simplicity of one pay-per-view event and one review to follow suit with my predictions, and then my review to follow suit as I normally do. Haha. With Clash of Champions 2020 to come up this upcoming September. So hurrah. So with the said, ladies and gentlemen, while this review was kind of all over the place in a sense, overall hope you all enjoyed for what it's worth. And once again, thank you for actually watching my edits, because obviously I actually low-key enjoy making these edits that you're actually seeing on screen with, the match cards and, Sonic on screen, the logos I have for my, my scores and my thoughts and shit like that. It's little details like that that I personally am actually enjoying, to say the least. So overall, as much kind of, this kind of lackluster review that both visually in the sense, and kind of, visually in the sense, because you're actually seeing me, like, you're not seeing me like you normally am seeing, like you normally am. But, in the sense, I kind of am enjoying it in this sense. There's a part of me that actually is enjoying what I'm actually presenting you guys with these visuals I've traditionally seen on screen. So, yeah, so with what this all, so like I said before, no matter how long these reviews are going to be looking like this, overall, I hope you guys actually are enjoying what's going to become with my channel for however long it's going to be until we actually get back to our usual shit. But until then, you just guys stick tight, actually enjoy what's being given to you guys in this sort of fashion. So with the said, ladies and gentlemen, overall hope once again that you all enjoy what I present to you. And here's what's to see what's going to come up next for Clash of Champions 2020. So with the said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching this WWE presentation, double presentation of WWE content. So see you guys next month. Or technically not later this month, technically later on in the month, because obviously it's September the 1st as I'm recording this and potentially uploading this, so don't call me on this. I'm going to try to get this up on the 1st, the same day of uploading, reviewing it, or recording it. So regardless of when this shit's going to go up, sooner rather than later, it's September, and Clash Champions is later on down the road this month. So instead, I shall see you guys next time for my predictions and review of Clash of Champions. What will happen? What will happen as we get down to the road? Once we get to that pay-per-view event, you'll have to see both on your local TV stations and my predictions as I give you my thoughts heading into some of these matches, to say the least. So with the legend, I'm going to stop blumbering, I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm going to get the hell out of here so you can get the hell out of here. So with said, and then, ladies and gentlemen, finally enough, on Sunday 318, and I'm signing out. Peace, ladies and gentlemen.